Next we have ace-jack suited in the big blind. The button raises to 30. He's the Scottish pro that I played with a few times. He's very good and aggressive. I call, we're heads up out of position. The flop comes jack 7-4 with 2 spades. We have top pair, top kicker. I check to the pre-flop raiser. He checks back. I don't think that he'd do that with any big draw or hand better than ace-jack. We're likely in the lead by a lot. The turn is another 4. I bet 60 to target hands that he might have checked back the flop with that have value but aren't particularly strong, like hands containing a 7 or pocket pairs below a jack that didn't connect with the board. The opponent calls, we have him right where we want him. The river is the deuce of spades. The flush draw gets there, so it's a bad card, but perhaps not for the reasons that you think. As I mentioned previously, I wasn't worried about my opponent having spades since he checked back the flop. The spade on the river's bad because I could easily play the hand the same way with spades in my hand, so it could be tougher for a value bet of mine to get called light. I bet 140 to charge him just in case he wants to see my cards. He makes it absolutely clear that he doesn't want to pay that price. He raises to 700. This is very bizarre. What on earth does this dude have that he'd play this way? It seems like he's trying to rep the ace-high flush or a boat, but I don't see how that's possible. He's definitely capable of bluffing big and putting people in tough spots. When I have relatively strong hands and I'm confused by my opponent's bets, I can't help myself. I call for 560 more. Let's see if he's got it. Yeah, he does. He shows pocket deuces. He called nearly a pot-sized bet, extremely light on the turn. I had him hooked. Then he gets bailed out by hitting a 2-outer on the river. He gets paid the maximum. What's even worse is the way the black chips were stacked before the dealer cut him made it look like it was only 600 from my view, so I get punished for an extra 100 more than I anticipated.
Wow. 6-1. 700.
Not particularly happy. I don't care who it is, but someone at the table is going to reimburse me for those Bradley dollars. I go to the settings in my phone to activate revenge mode. A few hands after I get a table change, I'm dealt ace-king offsuit in the cutoff. I raise to 30. The button, who just informed me that he watches the vlog, 3 bets to 80. They're always coming after me. The big blind calls, he's stuck and has a drink beside him. The general sense that I'm getting is that it's not his first drink of the night. This time, I really am close to the top of my range. I 4-bet to 330. Without too much time passing, the button calls. The big blind calls immediately after him with 570 behind. I told you this game seemed better. We're going 3 ways to a flop in a 4-bet pot. Likely, all we need to do is make a pair. The flop comes jack 8-5 rainbow. The big blind checks. If it were heads up with him and the pot was this large, I'd just jam. Unfortunately, I have the button to be concerned about. I check. It'd be great to see a check back in order to get a free turn. Nope. The button bet's 200. It's a super small sizing. I actually really like it. For him, for me, it's pretty damn annoying. Big blind folds, the action's on me, I'm getting an insanely good price to call. I just don't think that the button is bluffing. At best, we probably have the same hand since he 3-bet me and called a 4-bet. At worst, he has top set and I'll need runner to beat him. It's not good to call, especially out of position, in order to hopefully chop. I fold thinking that it's ridiculous that I'm doing this while I'm getting 6-1. Turns out I needed slightly more than 6-1 to make the call profitable. The player has ace-jack of diamonds. He 3-bet somewhat light, then called a 4-bet and drilled top pair, top kicker. We were drawing dead to 3 outs and a backdoor straight draw. I've been here a few hours and not much is going my way. At least this pot is going to someone from the Jiggity Nation.
You want to be on the vlog, Russell? Right. Got me.
It's time to turn the session around. I've got jack 10 suited under the gun. I raised to 30. Cutoff calls. The big blind calls as well. 3 of us are in the mix. The dealer puts out 10-6-4 with 2 hearts. We've got top pair. The big blind checks. My hand has plenty of value, but I don't want to be playing a huge pot with it, and I'm not in position. For those reasons, I check. No one will be seeing a free card. The cutoff bet's 60. I don't mind calling against him. The big blind calls before I have a chance. I have to be concerned that I may not be ahead of either player, and even if I'm in the lead now, there won't be many cards that I want to see going forward. I still can't fold here, given the fact that my hand is under-repped. I call, though I don't love the situation. The turn is the king of diamonds. It's one of those cards that I didn't want to see. The big blind checks. I check. The cutoff is apparently worried about getting 2 callers on the previous street. He checks back. He almost for sure doesn't have 2 pair or better, and likely doesn't have a king either. His best holding is probably going to be a 10 of some sort. It's definitely possible that he has complete air. It was just taking a stab at it to steal it earlier on. The river is an 8. Some straight draws get there. I'm not too worried about those. The big blind checks. He's almost for sure going to have 1 pair or worse. I check. I haven't shown much strength so far in this hand either. The cutoff fires for 160. I suppose that he could have 9-7 or 10-8. It just feels more like he's taking advantage of the fact that the big blind and I haven't taken the initiative ourselves to bet on any street. The big blind folds. I'm going with my read on the situation and I immediately call. The cutoff doesn't like it, he mucks his cards without showing. We induce 2 bluffs from him to win a sizable pot, considering we only have second pair, not much of a kicker. That's the largest pot that's come our way the whole night. Feels good to be back on track. We've got jiggities under the gun. I raised to 30. There's a brand new player in the hijack who came in posting 10 that I didn't see. He calls for 20 more. Our old friend from the last 2 hands, 3 bets to 130 in the cutoff. I can't help but feel like he's coming after me. He may just think that he has to get through me, and the hijack will fold quickly since he was getting a great price and possibly called my initial raise light. Little does the cutoff know, I've got a hand that I won't be folding. I call for 100 more. The hijack indeed folds pretty quickly. We're heads up with someone who has a vendetta against us. The flop comes 6 deuce deuce with 2 clubs. Not too bad. I check to the 3-better. He down bets to 120. I don't necessarily want to see any more clubs. I definitely don't want to see any overcards. I put in the check raise to 400. The opponent has 915 total. I'm happy to play for it all. If the opponent has aces, kings, or queens, then so be it. The player slides in his entire stack. I call immediately. I wouldn't be surprised if the opponent has me crushed, or if he's tilting and trying to get back at me for beating him in the previous hands, or maybe he has something like ace king or ace queen of clubs, and it's a fair fight. We're going to battle. The turn is the queen of diamonds, which I'm not thrilled to see. I could be drawing dead if he has queens, and near dead if he has a flush draw containing a queen. I'm not feeling confident at all. After a terrible start to the session, I've won several $100s, and I've almost gotten out of the hole completely before getting to this point where if I lose, I'll be down over 1,300. Perhaps it's a bit premature to talk about losing though. The river is a miracle jack. We make jiggities full of deuces. Technically, the cutoff is supposed to show first since I called his shove, but I don't want to slow roll him. I show him the boat. He doesn't react as if he's too disappointed. There's a decent chance that I had him beat the entire way. He mucks without showing. I'm ecstatic. We win an enormous pot to get completely unstuck for the night. A lot of things have been going our way lately. I'm really enjoying it while it lasts. We're up almost 800 on the session. We're not going home yet though. I've got ace-jack offsuit on the button. I open to 30. Russell calls in the small blind. He has some of my dollars from that ace-king hand that I'd like to get back. The big blind calls as well. We're going 3 ways to the flop. It's jack 8-6 rainbow. We have top pair, top kicker. The small blind checks. The big blind doesn't want to wait for me to bet. He makes it 40. This play is a little odd. I call to see what develops on the turn. The small blind calls as well. The dealer puts out the king of clubs. The small blind checks. The big blind slows down and checks. Ace-jack is very likely best. I don't want to give a free card out. I bet 100 for value. It won't stay that price for long. The small blind raises to 240. It's a very, very small raise. I'm not quite sure what to make of it. It seems like it could be a let me see where I'm at raise. There are a lot of draws out there, so if he's doing it for value or as a bluff, he should be making it quite a bit more. The big blind folds. I'm getting almost 4-1 on a call. I'm not letting my hand go for that price. I call for 140 more. We're heads up. The river is another king. Small blind doesn't like his hand quite as much, or is perhaps setting a trap. He checks. I don't see much reason for me to bet. I check back. The opponent turns over jack 8 offsuit. He flopped top 2 pair and then got counterfeited on the river. We both have kings and jacks, but my kicker gives us the victory. The rush is real. Little did Russell know, the chips that he won from me earlier were boomerang chips. I feel a little bad, but that's what he gets for calling pre-flop raises with jack 8 offsuit from the small blind. Just maximum pain. Turns out, Russell isn't the only vlog watcher in attendance.
Love you, Brad. Oh, how's it going?
It's tough to see him from behind all the glass, but the player sitting down is named Sam, and he's in town visiting from Southern California. That's his buddy behind him. They seem like good guys. We're currently up over 1,000, and we've got pocket 8s on the button. Sam raises to 30 from middle position. The cutoff calls. I'm content to set mine. I call. The big blind wants all the money in the middle. 3 bets to 120. There's another small sizing. Should be making it closer to 180. Middle position player folds. The cutoff folds. I'm getting a great price. I call. I'm glad to be seeing a flop in position. We're heads up. It comes jack 6-5 rainbow. We've got second pair and a backdoor straight draw. The big blind down bets at 65, significantly less than what it was pre-flop. I call. I could easily be ahead, or maybe he has pocket jacks and I'm crushed. The turn is the 9 of clubs. We pick up a gutter. The big blind bets 190. I strongly consider jamming for 880 effective. The opponent had it teed up for him to squeeze light pre-flop. He might only have ace high or maybe even worse. I can have the nuts and pretty much all the sets that he almost certainly won't have. There'd be no reason for him to 3-bet with a hand like 9s, 6s, or 5s, for example. Since I believe there's a strong possibility that I have the best hand as it is, I don't necessarily need to turn my hand into a bluff. I call hoping that I can improve, or the river will be low and the opponent will check. Neither of those things happen. The river is the ace of diamonds. I don't beat anything. The opponent bets 305. I don't see how I could justify a call. I fold. We don't win our last hand, but we book a solid win on the night overall. Had a memorable session playing with some cool new people.